Time for sports and the law, and this one is a doozy. According to the Los Angeles police, there was a knife allegedly found on the former estate property of OJ Simpson in Brentwood. The knife was found in the 1990s by a construction worker given to an LA policeman. The policeman held the knife until recently. The knife is undergoing forensic testing. What could it possibly mean now? Welcome in. Sports and the Law segment. And that means Steve Moskowitz is here to try to figure this stuff out. So this knife, how could it affect OJ Simpson, if at all, and the murder charges from years and years ago?
There's the legal and the real life. Legally, double jeopardy, it doesn't matter. However, in my opinion, he's doing so much time in Vegas to make up for getting away with murder in California. His problem is if he tries to get on parole, they'll say, you know what, we have even more evidence against you. That's what his problem's going to be.
Yeah, that's the parole side. There's a story out there where OJ is most concerned. He's not concerned about the knife and anything that's going to lead to the murder situation. It's the knife, and people are going to conjure up that he was involved. How could his parole be affected by this knife that was found?
It's not supposed to, because parole is you've changed after you've done the crime. In reality, you have a parole board, which is people, and somebody on there can say, see, he did it after all. So again, it's very subjective. Not supposed to be, but it is.
How much of this is just a news story, part of the news cycle, and the fact that there's an OJ Simpson miniseries going on FX versus...
that was very coincidental.
It's almost as if it was... You know what I mean?
Who knows?
It sounds a little bit crazy. But if someone is interested in this, this shouldn't have any bearing on what had happened 20-some years ago. Nothing, no bearing on him in his parole.
It shouldn't, but somebody in Las Vegas may keep him in prison longer there because
Let's get the story number 2 on this thing, and this one, this has to do with Erin Andrews. She was awarded $55 million in damages after she won a lawsuit against West End Hotel Partners in Windsor Capital, who operate the Marriott Hotel at Vanderbilt University. Michael David Barrett was also a co-defendant. He was convicted of stalking Andrews. So in this one, $55 million, that's an awful lot of money. I know we've talked about this case a couple of times, but...
Yes, but she's never going to get it.
Okay, let's start with, why was it such, well then, why such a huge number at $55 million?
Because the jury let their passions run away with it. And in no way, shape, or form am I minimizing her suffering, and it was horrible. But in that jurisdiction, when somebody dies, they get killed, they get about $1 million. Here, we don't have physical injury. I'm not addressing, you know, her psychological injury, but again, it's going to be overturned on appeal. First of all, the guy himself was about half of it. He's never going to pay. He's judgment proof. And it's not the Marriott that's on the hook. They got out. It's the local owners. We don't know if they can pay it. And they're definitely going to appeal. And usually what happens is this. The jury is the emotional one. They give the $55 million. Then you go to the appeals court. The appeals court will say, look, you're not entitled to a windfall. There's too much here, and they're going to bring it way down if they don't settle.
Insurance could become involved in this?
Possibly they're going to fight over this is covered or not. All
right, whether it's covered, okay, it sounds good. Yeah, 51% goes to the guy Barrett, who was the stalker in this thing. He clearly is not going to have $28 million. The two companies with $27 million, you're saying it'll come back on appeal.
It's a very high probability that it's going to be knocked way down on appeal. And again, we don't know what the company has, or they just go bankrupt and say goodbye. All
right, let's get to story number 3. NFL teams just can't get out of their own way. At the NFL Combine, Falcons assistant coach Marquand Manuel asked at least one player about his sexual orientation. He asked Ohio State cornerback Eli Apple, quote, "So, you like men?" Manuel took responsibility. He later apologized for the situation. What did Marquand Manuel do wrong in this circumstance?
He opened his mouth. And what happens is, this is wrong a lot of levels. First of all, CBA says you can't do that. And they have all kinds of laws against that. Somebody's sexual preference is his personal business and has nothing to do with how he does his job, including playing football.
Let me try to take the Falcons side on this. Let's say the Falcons say we're upstanding, and the reason we ask is because we want to provide a safe and healthy workspace for someone who might have a different orientation. So that's why we ask the question.
They can say anything they want. That is not going to fly. You can't do that in this day and age.
I have 1 minute remaining here. If I'm Eli Apple, and let's say the scouts say I should go in the 3rd round, but I'm drafted in the 5th round, do I have a case saying, hey, the Falcons they're getting me involved in something that I didn't want to get involved in?
Absolutely. He'll say he's been discriminated against, and that's why he didn't get the higher pick.
Is this something, but if you're Apple, Eli Apple, do you want to be involved in something? If you go later, don't you just keep your mouth shut?
you're weighing the law and your rights with what's going to happen with your marketability and how your teammates are going to get along and how people are going to like you for endorsements.
Let's see here. NFLPA. He's not in the NFL yet. He's trying to get to the NFL. I got 30 seconds. The NFL, how can they get their hands on it? Or NFLPA? They can't.
Very easy. He's covered under the agreement because he was there trying out for the job.
You're telling me he's still covered by the NFLPA?
Absolutely. That's real clear cut.
That's why Steve Moskowitz is our sports and the law expert. Steve, always great having
Always
you.
a
Thanks for
pleasure.
joining us.
Thanks.
We do appreciate that. That'll do it for a busy Sports Talk Live. I'm Jim Kozimor. Thanks so much for watching. We've got Sportsnet Central coming right at you. Feldy and Fareed are next.